It's a Wednesday night to remember on a chilly August evening in Sylvan Lake, Alberta, Canada. That is a live shot as the kids run the bases with your Sylvan Lake Gulls. They wore their baby blues with the white pants today. Sully the Gully, our promo team, led by Jared Waldo, had a great night. And I can officially tell you, and by now you know, the Sylvan Lake Gulls are headed for the second year in a row to the WCBL Championship Final. Hi, everyone. My name is Joe Whitbread. Welcome to Beyond the Bases, our post-game show after a really exciting Sylvan Lake Gulls win. Second year in a row, the Sylvan Lake Gulls sweep the West Final against their arch rivals, their divisional opponents, and their very respected opponents from down south, the Okotoks Dawgs. This program brought to you by Donna, Purcell, QC Law, with offices here in Sylvan Lake, Red Deer, Calgary, and Edmonton. Jared Waldo, what can you say? The Sylvan Lake Gulls are headed to the final again. You know what? And it's a great feeling for the folks that were here, packed crowd here tonight. And I think this is exactly where this team thought they would be at the start of the season. You know, when we entered this season after the heartbreak of losing in the finals last year, there's a lot of talk within the organization amongst the players that you just needed another opportunity to find that extra out to give yourself the chance to become champions. And right now, as of following this game, as of tonight, the Gulls have done just that, and they've given themselves another chance to try and claim their first WCBL championship. Some incredible players wearing red uniforms. You're going to see them in this highlight package. The Okotoks Dawgs were the opponents every year. They won to get here, but they could not beat the Gulls. But they did start this game early, already 2-0 here in the bottom of the first inning, and the Gulls kept pouring it on. So the Gulls came out swinging hard, and they did get up in this game. The bats were working. They just found those holes. A lot of what we usually see from the Okotoks Dawgs, they're so good at that small ball. But tonight, the Gulls got out early, and they were doing just that. You can see it's 4-2 already. Gulls here, still the bottom of the second inning. The Sylvan Lake Gulls tacked up a lot of early runs that allowed the crowd here to exhale. We're only in the third inning. You can see it's 7-2 Sylvan Lake, and it seemed at this point we were coasting. Dominic Giusti with this catch changed the mood of this game on the Gulls side, but then the Dawgs would slowly claw back. You know, and credit to the Okotoks Dawgs, an amazing organization. And, you know, as we talked about the rivalry, this is just how they play against Sylvan Lake, and they've done it for years, and tonight was no different, tying it up. Look at that, and Coleman Perry does what he does. This one just barely cleared the wall. As you can see, that is a 9-8 lead headed to the top of the ninth inning, and the crowd was on their feet. And Braden Stewart comes in one more time to close it out and book the Gulls ticket to the championship one more time. As you said, Jared, it is a familiar place for both these teams. This final happens every single year in the West, of course, and the Dawgs for the last 2 years been swept by the Gulls. I really want to give their fan base, and just so you know, if you're watching from afar and you're not necessarily familiar with where we live, Okotoks is just south of Calgary, which is 2.5 hours south of us here in Sylvan Lake. And from the beginning, this Okotoks Dawgs club has set the stage in the WCBL and certainly deserve our respect. They get it every year, and a huge bus load of fans made the trip up here to watch their Dawgs in their final game. Yeah, you know, and we had a busload of Gulls fans go down to Okotoks for game one, and just a class organization. They treat us with respect. The fans are great, and we saw it exactly the same thing here, as we always do when the fans come up from Okotoks, and they were here, they were loud, they were cheering on their team, and just can't say enough great things about the Okotoks Dawgs. Kids are having fun, and both sets of kids, the ones that are getting the autographs and the ones that are giving them, they're really excited to make the final. There's one guy in particular, you guys, you and I continue to talk about him on this show. Dominic Giusti, who trolls around center field, has done defensive things this year that are incredible, and he did it again tonight. You know, and we've been talking about through the postseason, he has just come up to another level. And this was the grab tonight. We saw one the other night. This one again tonight. He's just unreal with the double play there to finish it off. He's just played so well in the postseason. If you've had the opportunity to watch one of your kids, perhaps they play here in the WCBL or with the Gulls, or you've had the chance to travel to Sylvan Lake, or you're one of our longtime season ticket holders and fans, we'd love to hear from you in the comments section. Who really impressed you in this series and also in this game? We'd love to hear that. We get ready for a final that's now set, because in the East, we have an opponent. Another team swept in the East Final, and the Saskatoon Berries will meet the Gulls in the championship series.
Yeah, and for the first time between these two franchises, the Saskatoon Berries, the Moose Jaw Miller Express, they had such a tear down towards the end of the season and into the playoffs, had such great momentum. But that is why we play the games, and the regular season, once it's over, you get into the postseason, it's a completely different animal. And now for the first time, as I said, we'll have the Saskatoon Berries and the Sylvan Lake Gulls, two great organizations, two great fan bases. It's going to be a lot of fun at the ballpark.
And we know at the time of this broadcast that your Sylvan Lake Gulls have home field advantage. What we don't know is when we play officially, but we also know that the Gulls are West Division champions for the second year in a row. Thanks to Jared Waldo and our amazing team behind the scenes. He'll get ready for the final. You'll see Wally and the promo team on the field and in the stands when we launch the final against the Saskatoon Berries. It gives us a chance, as we do every year, to welcome from the WCBL, Joe McFarland. Joe, along with your partners at the league level, don't have a team in the race. You're here to monitor scores, monitor this final. Welcome to Beyond the Bases. We're glad you made the trip to Sylvan Lake.
Always glad to come on the show, Joe, as always.
And many of you might recognize, if you follow WCBL content online, Joe McFarland and his team, obviously Clark Monroe and Ian Wilson and our incredible content team. What did you see out of this final specifically? And I know you had eyes on the Saskatoon game tonight as well.
That's all I can really say. There's no words, because it was one of those situations, and you mentioned it with Wally, is the inches, right? With Coleman Perry's home run, it was a game of inches, and I couldn't help but think back to 2025. I know this is going to be tough for Gulls fans to hear, but it was a game of inches in that final, and it felt like that was the same case here. It was going to be a game of inches, no different than I know on the other side with Okotoks. They're sitting there going, hey, Ricky Sanchez gets on with a double. All we need is to push him, and he gets 90 feet away, and oh so very close, right? This was such as much as I wanted this one to go 3. I know fans here are going, no, we're glad to happy win it here. But this is one of those great rivalries that you love to see go 3 games. That being said, what a way to finish out this series.
Dom Giusti, incredible defense, some big bats on both sides of the plate, but the Dawgs didn't have their bats, not in game 1. And seemingly not here tonight. What surprised you most in this series?
I don't know if it's a surprise as much as I said it from the onset. I think that Okotoks had maybe a little bit of a better bat during the season, and I felt on the flip side, Sylvan Lake had just a little bit more pitching. And it was shown in game 1 when Noah Bourgeois just absolutely dominated, right? Like when you look at the box score from that, the top 3 batters, the 1, 2, 3 hitters for Okotoks had 5 hits. The rest of the order went 0 for. That's a telltale sign of how game 1 went. Game 2, way more even keel. The bats came alive eventually and made for some very tense moments here at Gulls Stadium.
So we are getting word that the Saskatoon Berries and the Sylvan Lake Gulls, the leadership team on both, obviously both fresh off victories on home field tonight in game 2. We're getting word that final has now been set as a 1-1-1. Can you explain what a 1-1-1 is in the final and when that would start?
It's a lot of travel in a short amount of time. I was Akil Samuel's in behind laughing at me a little bit. So 2 years ago, if you'll remember, it was Moose Jaw and Okotoks. And it was Okotoks for game 1, Moose Jaw for game 2, Okotoks for game 3, if you go that far. It's a lot of travel in a short amount of time. Last year, it was a little bit different because of the amount of time you spend on the road. It's close to 8 hours between Sylvan Lake and Regina. So the league decided at that time, okay, we're going to just go 1-2, which is the first games in the lower seeded, so in that case, Regina, and then games 2 and 3 back here in Sylvan Lake. Because it's only 5 hours, depending on how fast you take the back roads between Alberta and Saskatchewan. It's going to be a little bit closer, so I suspect that's a big part of why the league has decided we're going to go 1-1-1.
And so both teams have officially, that's now official on this broadcast. You'll see on the social medias, whether you're watching from the Saskatoon or the Saskatchewan region or here in Alberta. 1-1-1 starts Saturday night, so that's game 1, and that is a Sylvan Lake home game. Sylvan Lake gets home field advantage, something I don't think Gulls fans necessarily saw coming. That means game 2 is in Saskatoon on Sunday. We'll await game times. And game 3, if necessary, which Gulls fans know all too well with their game 3 against Regina last year.
We won't talk about that.
Will be a Monday. Saturday, Sunday, Monday with 2 games. The second, of course, if necessary, on Monday night. What can you tell us about the Saskatoon Berries season?
This is going to be a championship series of two very similar teams in my books, because you've got a roster or a lineup 1 through 9 that can hit really, really well. We've seen it time and time again. Saskatoon's 7, 8, 9 seem to bring up the 1, 2, 3 when they're not hitting, and vice versa. Much the same as we saw with Sylvan Lake. And again, built very similar when it comes to pitching staff as well. Even tonight, their starter went, I think, 2 2/3 before their long relief guy went 3. Right, so you've got a little bit of depth in that pitching staff. So I'm looking forward to a really even keel kind of series, and one that should have fans on the edge of their seats throughout.
Joe, I'm going to get the player of the game into this broadcast. He's standing by just off camera, and he certainly deserves a spot in this chair.
Absolutely.
Really do appreciate you and the WCBL media team who have covered all season and all summer long, but certainly your visits here to Sylvan Lake. It means a lot to us, and thanks for all of your hard work and hours on the highways.
It's looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun one.
There you go. Joe McFarland is with the WCBL, our media team. Watch for his content, along with Ian Wilson and Clark Monroe with the WCBL game day as it goes one more round, the third round, which will be the championship final. August 15th to 17th. Game 1 will happen Saturday. I don't want you to go anywhere, and I do want you to fill up those comment sections as we welcome in our player of the game. And it is a no-brainer because it was a no-doubter. Although it was just inches over the wall. This is Coleman Perry, who hit the game-winning home run, a solo shot, in the bottom of the 8th inning. Congratulations, first of all, on the victory, and congrats on a big night. You're a bit of a Sylvan Lake hero right now. How's that feel?
Oh, it feels awesome. I mean, it's fun having all the fans here and, getting to experience something like this. So, yeah, it was awesome, yeah.
But tell us about that home run. We've got it here. Have a look. Here you are at the plate, and this is how it goes down. How'd you feel? And what'd you feel?
Well, I'm going to be honest. When I stepped into the box, I wasn't actually trying to do anything. I was just trying to put a bat on the ball. So, yeah, yeah, there we go. I already got a text from my dad saying that's the most he's ever seen out of me on a baseball field. So, yeah, I guess that's part of it, I guess. But.
So just to put it in perspective for the fans who weren't here or maybe didn't see it live, that highlight means a lot. You stomped on that home plate. It's the bottom of the 8th inning. How are you feeling in the dugout? Because there were nerves as the Dawgs deservedly battled back in this ballgame.
Oh, well, I hit that home run and then got into the dugout and was still kind of blacked out a little bit, it felt like. And then, he hits that leadoff double, and I'm like, there's no way this is going to happen right here. There's no way. It's destined for us to win. There's no shot. And then we find a way out of it with, Stu on the mound, of course, doing what he does best. So it was awesome finding a way to win that ball game.
Have you had a moment like that? I know you probably had in your career a few big hits, big RBIs, even some walk-offs. Was this a big moment for you?
I've had some big home runs in my life, but I definitely think that one takes the cake. I think that was definitely the biggest home run I've ever hit. And, especially with all the fans here, it makes it that much more, important. So it was definitely a top experience for me in my baseball career.
I know it's your first year here in Sylvan Lake. I can tell you've made an impression with the fans. Obviously a fan favorite. You can feel that. And I know that there's one thing missing here in Sylvan Lake. They got so close last year. You weren't here. What do you know about the final? What do you know about the history? And how much energy is in that dugout and in that bullpen right now to go and get this for this community?
I mean, I've never felt as close as a team as we are right now. I feel like we're just going to steamroll through the rest of the championship right here. And I feel the positive energy. We got a lot of, energy in that dugout and in our bullpen and everything. So I honestly think we have a really good shot at winning this and taking back what we should have won last year. So.
Well, as someone who's been here since inception, and I know there's so many incredible people with this in this organization, you excited a lot of people tonight. You also allowed us to exhale a little bit going into those final 3 outs. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And now we turn the page. It's the Saskatoon Berries. What do you know? And what are you expecting from another very good ball club in the East?
I know they've got a good offense, but I think we've got a better offense. I'm going to be honest. And I know our pitching is by far the most dominant. So, I mean, we already had a big win against Sask here at home. So I think we have a really good shot at, taking it to them and winning 2 ball games.
Well, can't wait for it all to start with home field advantage, no less, and that starts on Saturday right here at Gulls Field. Your player of the game for EG Auctions is Coleman Perry with the game-winning solo home run in the bottom of the 8th inning. Thanks for joining us on Beyond the Bases.
Yeah, great to be here.
Fantastic to have you. There you are. I'll let you celebrate with the guys. There they are, getting ready for a very, very big game. This is game 2. The Gulls up 1-0 against the Okotoks Dawgs. Tensions were high, both in the stands, in the dugout, and in the bullpen. Mason Little started this ball game and threw a real great start. Then we got to see Kyle Frelick come into the game as the Gulls padded the lead. At one point, a 7-2 lead. Dominic Giusti doing what he does best, tracking down the outfield. Coleman Perry, who wasn't just sharp at the plate, also at first base. But the Dawgs came back. The hot dogs in Jared Waldo and our team, in the promo team, but also the Dawgs. The Okotoks Dawgs never seem to go away, but Braden Stewart and Coleman Perry with this shot in the bottom of the 8th inning and the celebration to boot made it with an exclamation mark, a win for your Sylvan Lake Gulls. We're going to the final. It starts Saturday against the Saskatoon Berries, and we'll see you there. Thanks for joining us on Beyond the Bases with your Sylvan Lake Gulls.